What's up, everyone? Today we're going to be working on the HEMI powered drift truck. Now, as you can all recall, a lot of times I have a tendency of just getting things because of the price is right. Well, generally speaking, the price is right because of reasons. This thing was really rough, but fortunately we've been able to deal with a lot of the issues as they've come up. We've replaced the cab corners on the back. Not only did we replace the cowl corners, but we were able to go to wheelwright restorations and make them by hand, which is super awesome to be able to make the panels going in your vehicle. But Ray topped that off just with a cherry. Ray is awesome. He actually sent us out the A-pillars to the driver's side of this truck. Now, not only did he get us the skin, but he got us all of the structure behind it in case we needed to replace it. And based on how rusty this truck is, there's a good chance that we will have to do that. So a big thank you and a shout out to Ray over at Wheelwright Restorations. You really saved my butt over here. So as you can see, I actually cleaned up a little bit of this area so you can look at how they did this in the past. This is, of course, lead. Real lead, which is so cool. This is seen better days, though. You can see where it's starting to fracture, but that's the least of the concerns that this A-pillar has. If we go up here, not only is it rusted right here, but it is completely separated. Now, I don't know what it looks like underneath here. I can only imagine that we will be using a lot of the structure that Ray sent down. Now, the damage to the window sill doesn't end there. It continues all the way around, and it gets pretty darn bad. So the window that came with it was so rusted that there was no way we were going to be able to salvage it. And quite frankly, when you're looking at the prices of replacing it, they are insane. Not only would we need to get the actual window, the whole assembly and everything, we'd have to get the new hinges or restore the hinges that are in it, and we'd have to get the mechanism to push it out. And we are getting into some extreme prices there. So I've made the executive decision to go ahead and just put a pane of glass in here, and it will ultimately, I think it'll be better off, especially seeing how this is going to end up going on a track. I think it'll be safer, and it'll save us quite a bit of weight of having all that crap in there. So I've already started repairing this side of the A-pillar or the window, and fortunately there's no real crack along the lead, so we're going to leave that as it is. But this whole section from here all the way around had to be cut out. So as you can tell, I've already started repairing this right here. Now I have to make it so that it can hold a window. So I'm not going to do it exactly how it was from the factory. I've actually stiffened the entire area up. I went through and I added a little bit of metal on the inside of the A-pillar, as well as I replaced that little tin steel that was on the outside with an actual piece of 16 gauge steel, and that wraps around all the way. So that will increase the stiffness of this A-pillar. Now, when we install the new A-pillar over here, we are going to mimic that so that we get a nice solid spot. Now, the reason why that is this right here is two separate pieces. So we need to make this virtually one piece. I don't want to, start going around one of the corners full drift and the window just takes itself out. So trying to be a little bit preemptive so we don't have catastrophic failure like that. Now on the inside, this whole section right here is completely rotted as well. So as you can see, what I did over here is I cut it flush just past where the hinge used to be. We will eventually do the same thing over here, and then we'll bridge this entire area with a single piece, and we will just basically make a more solid structure out of this whole thing. And you can just see how bad this window sill was. So let's go ahead, start tearing this apart. First, we need to go ahead, remove the lead and take from here up off, and then we will figure out exactly where we're going to have to match this to it, mate it up, marry it, and then we'll be all set. Just kidding. We'll have a lot more after that too, but let's get started. Sorry I had to turn you guys off. You guys were awful close to the spatter from the grinder, and unfortunately it did get my lens. So unfortunately they're only $20 a pop, and I think I've already gone through 10 of them. So not fortunately. They're kind of expensive. So unfortunately I had to turn you guys off and move you back a little bit before I totally ruined the lens and not been able to film. So anyways, what I went ahead and did was finish removing that. You can actually see we have a few rot spots that we will have to patch before we put the new piece on. We do have the right gauge steel for this right here, but as I said, my goal is to make this one piece. So I'm putting one piece in the center of it. We're going to weld here, 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 and here, as well as run some welds along the structure and the inside of this. I want this to be one solid piece. So then after that, we'll put another piece in and we will weld them together, and that will make it so it's pretty nice and stiff. The other option would be double the thickness of this piece here, and then I don't know if you're really good at what you're doing, I guess you can grind that so that it has a nice perfect snug fit. And of course I am not that good, so this is the route I am going. So we're doubling up the thickness of this side of it, and then this side right here we are going to replace this piece, and then we will bolster it one more time with another piece of steel. So this piece that has been trimmed right here normally would sit like that going up the back side of it. Instead we are going to just put another piece of 16 gauge steel in place of this piece of tin, and that will then wrap around to the front and mate with the seam. One piece, oh sorry, there we go. One piece, nice solid. It'll reduce the amount of potential twist in it, so we don't have to worry about sacrificing glass. Not that I think, well, actually I don't know if it would or wouldn't. I just don't want to find out the hard way. So we're gonna make this thing pretty rigid. Of course, like I said, we're gonna put a roll cage in it as well. This isn't meant to replace the roll cage, just make so we don't have to replace the windshield. So anyways, let's go ahead, throw some welds on here. It is getting pretty late because I did focus on that section for the most of the day, and but we will film the whole way through this thing right here. Well guys, today is another day, and I gotta say, it's a beautiful day. A little chilly, but other than that, pretty darn good. So what's gonna happen is hopefully we'll finish up this A-pillar today and I can get a video out very quickly. We have some repairs to do just in this vicinity here. Nothing too terrible. Most of this will end up getting just knocked out when we weld it up. We need to straighten this out so that we're not trying to fill too much of this. Eventually, once this is all set, we have to do some reinforcing down here like we did over on that side. We'll measure it out, cut this a little bit smaller than it's supposed to be so we can keep trying to fit it until it's just right. We want a small gap between the original steel and the replacement so that when we grind it off, it's nice and smooth. Then we'll try tackling the windowsill if we have enough time today. Very cool update on the drivetrain for this vehicle. Fortunately, Matt was awesome. He gave us a ton of parts, including a 4-speed manual transmission, which will be, you know, it's a Mopar. It's an A833, perfect for this. We won't have to get more adapters for the R154, just one basic adapter so we can put the appropriate flywheel on the HEMI so it all merges together. So that will allow us to have, other than the differential, the drivetrain will be completely Chrysler, which will be pretty neat, especially seeing how this is a Chevy. I know, might make some people mad, might not. I think it's awesome. What else? No, that's probably the biggest thing we're updating. And let's go ahead. We got to just get to work. Oh, I need to turn the air compressor on. That's important when you have pneumatic tools. Should have turned that on earlier. All right, let's get to work. Sorry for the furnace noise. We are in the basement, and just wanted to show you quickly what we'll be working on shortly. Currently just doing an inventory on what we have here, but look at that, guys. We have quite a bit going on. So this is the A833 transmission I was telling you. So again, a big thank you to Matt, and soon we'll have a video rebuilding this thing. All right, now let's get to work. Now, as you can see, one of the important things is take small bites out of it. Work on both pieces until you get it right where you want it to be. Because obviously, you can't put metal back very easily. It's very easy to cut it off though. So, you just nibbled off pieces here and there. And next thing we have to do is do a little rust repair. And next time you see this, because I'm going to go ahead and cut the feed, otherwise I'm going to be welding in your way. But we're going to put this piece in, because I only wanted to put the one side here. This side right here will end up getting welded on the outside. I will clean up this area, and I'll put a few welds right through here. It's going to be pretty difficult, but stuff I can't really record with the camera. I already burnt through one lens, and you can actually see a dot right about there. I already burnt through a second lens. So at $20 a pop, not very fun. They get expensive very quickly. So I'm going to go ahead, get this all sorted out, weld all that needs to be welded, and I'll see you guys in just a few minutes. The next step through here, now that we have this all completely sorted out, is to just generally tack things where I think they're going to need to be. That way if I need to cut it out, not a big deal. So for example, right here is almost perfectly flush. So we'll put a little tack. Mind you, a little bit of space so when your grind is smooth, there's something in between. Otherwise, if you get them real close, you put our weld there, not only will it be potentially weak, but you might even have a space in between, and that will look like crap. So we'll go ahead, tack this in there, get it all lined up proper. This needs to actually be fiddled around with, but once she's all tacked, we'll do little tacks in between, and once that's all done, we'll fill in the welds. Well guys, it's been a very long day, and I gotta say, the cab's far from done, but the very important things like the cab corners, the cowl corners, and now the A-pillar and A-pillars are complete. So this side's done, that side's done. We have the stiffening inside, we have the plate on both sides, but we still need to do the actual windowsill. It's gonna be quite the ordeal, and I like it. And because we're replacing so much, I don't know how we're gonna get this thing to look the same way as everything else, because we have that down there, we have just, so I have a lot to think about as far as the aesthetics of the actual vehicle itself. But yeah, we have the back part of it that still needs to be dealt with. The windowsill around the rear window needs to be taken care of. The door stuff that I'm going to be working with is going to be another big undertaking, but this was big. This was very important, and a giant thank you again to Ray. I mean, I couldn't have done it without him. So Ray, thank you very much. I appreciate your generosity of sending that part out, and it made a big difference. It made my life a lot easier, so I do very much appreciate it. And as you can see, the mask you sent is definitely getting a workout. So again, thank you very much. Safety first, guys. You know, we only get one set of lungs. So yes, again, big thank you, man. And a big thank you again to Matt for hooking us up with that 833. Like I said, we'll do a video putting that together. I'm still trying to document exactly what parts we need. Seems like 90% of it's there. He has a few more parts I'm going to go pick up within the next few days. So yeah, this has been awesome, guys. Oh man. And she's still got a little bit of rust. This piece had a little bit of rust that I put on there, but it was definitely better than the piece that was there. This thing is solid, like rock. And then, yeah, we have a lot to think about, but at least we now have a much better, a much more stable platform to work with. The cab doesn't flex at all now. The other day when I said something, I grabbed it like this. That's why I actually went ahead and cut open and stiffened up this side, as well as decided to make this one piece, because I went like this. And the whole cab started twisting. I'm like, well, that's not good. We want this thing not to twist. We want this thing to be like a rocket. Anyways. Oh, yes. Hold on. Something else came today. Something very big. Something very awesome. Something amazing. Let me go ahead and I'll be right back. And a big shout out to Willie's Replacement Parts. Thank you so very much for helping me figure out exactly the pistons we need, wrist pins, and rings for this project. And not only were you the quickest to be able to get these things made for me, but quite honestly, the quality control was fantastic. The first batch were no good, and they had to scratch them and go from the beginning. And they still got them here within, I think, 3.5 weeks. So came on a Sunday. So big shout out to them for helping me out. The price was right on them. It's still pretty darn expensive, but that's, you pay for quality, that's for sure. But inside we have some high quality paper. We'll go ahead and throw them to the side, and then we have a cool sticker. We have our retainers inside here. We'll set that aside, don't want to lose those. We have our high performance rings for it, so that this right here is, you know, it's important to have them not fall apart. They will have to be gapped though for our application. The instructions on what the gap is specifically for this project inside there. Custom made wrist pins, because they're going to be heavily abused, but not too heavily abused. We don't want them to be slammed around, but we'll go ahead and be careful with that. Close that right back up. And of course, the gem, the cream of the crop inside here. This is so beautiful. I mean, you can't. Oh, So look at that, guys. Oh, I love it. This, and they are so light, so very light. Now, once this get like tomorrow, I'm going to go ahead and bring these down to the machine shop. The engine will get its final hone. Hopefully next week I'll be able to pick up the engine, or the week after. We'll see. You know, we're at the mercy of their very busy shop. So we'll see when they get back to us. Once we get them taken care of, everything is mated up. We have to bring it to Dan Bandel, which means scheduling the crankshaft, and needs to be balanced so that when it's finally assembled, it will be more beautiful. So that would be another $300 or $400 altogether. So we're looking at, I want to say we're all in on these around $1,400. Maybe a little bit more than that. I'll have to look at the receipt, but you know, we'll call it $1,400, and then another $700, $800. I haven't gotten the bill yet for the machine shop, and then probably another $150 to $250 for balancing out, depending on if he has to take metal off the crank or if he, you know, has to add metal. That's when it gets a little bit more expensive. So machining is very expensive, and that's before we even get into the head. So what we're going to do is, once the engine is all set, we're going to have to hold off from immediately bringing the crank and the pistons to the machine shop down at Dan Bandel's to get balanced, because money. So we'll mock the heads and the block together with the transmission and everything, and start seeing where things are going to land, so we can get mounts built and start saving up for the next wave of machining, because we still have, like I said, the crank to be balanced. The heads have to be dealt with. We have a lot left to do. New valves, just the list is huge. So we're going to do it as we do it. But first, we got to get this all taken care of so we have a ready to go block. Anyways, that's all I have for you guys today. A big shout out to everyone that's been helping out with the channel. Big shout out to Matt, Ray, the guys over at Willie's Replacement Parts. And yeah, it's going great. I mean, we're chiseling away at the iceberg here. That's the best I can say. So hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Until the next time, remember, keep your shiny side up, and God bless.